Welcome to the series of lecture on finite element analysis. In this part, we are continuing the transverse vibration of beam problem. In this example, we are going to consider the two-element model for solving the beam problem. In earlier part, we have discussed about what is vibration and how to analyze the vibration behavior of a machine or a structure. Any motion which repeats itself after equal interval of time can be considered as vibration. To define these vibration characteristics, we are using the parameters like frequency, amplitude and mode shape. How to find the frequency of transverse vibration of a beam using finite element method we are discussing. In earlier part, we have used one element model for solving the cantilever beam, simply supported beam and fixed beam problems. In this part, we are going to use two finite element for solving the simply supported beam model. By using the two finite element, how many natural frequencies we can achieve, we will see from this example. If you want to solve any vibration problem through finite element method, first we have to convert the vibration problem into a mathematical model. For that, we are assuming that the vibration follows the simple harmonic motion. Based on the simple harmonic motion equations, we are deriving the mathematical model for a vibration problem. So in mathematical model of transverse vibration of a beam problem, we derived this governing differential equation. It is a fourth order differential equation and we are using the frequency domain for defining this governing differential equation. So here W is the transverse deflection of the beam, E is Young's modulus, I is the moment of inertia of area of cross section, rho is the mass density, A area of cross section. In this mathematical model, we consider a simply supported beam. To derive the mathematical model, we assumed a elemental length dx, and based on the equilibrium equation and the constitutive equation, we derived this mathematical model. And these are the boundary conditions for the simply supported beam. After arriving this mathematical model, by applying the Galerkin approach, we derived the element characteristic equation for a transverse vibration of beam problem. So these are the general format of the element characteristic equation for beam problem. Here K is a stiffness matrix, which is a 4 by 4 matrix given here, and minus omega square. Omega is the natural frequency of the vibration, and M is the mass matrix. Again, the mass matrix is also a 4 by 4 matrix. Both K and M matrices are square and symmetrical matrix, and this U matrix is nodal parameter or nodal displacement vector, or we can say degree of freedom matrix. For a beam element, we have 2 degrees of freedom at each node. So we have totally 4 degrees of freedom. So if you consider the beam element like this, a straight line, node 1 will have 2 degrees of freedom, node 2 will have 2 degrees of freedom. For node 1 we will have W1 and theta 1, node 2 will have W2 and theta 2. Total degree of freedom is 4. That is why we are getting the 4 by 4 matrix for K as well as the M. In the right hand side, always we will get zero matrix or null matrix, because we are considering only free vibration. We will use this element characteristic equation directly to solve any beam problem. So let us go to the problem. Here we are considering again a simply supported beam. What is the difference from the previous example? We are going to use the two element model. The problem statement is like this: find the natural frequencies in the transverse vibration of simply supported beam using two element. So we have to use two finite element, and here we are going to use the numerical values for these material property and geometrical property. Without using the notations or symbols, we are going to have numbers in this example. Take length of the beam is 2 meter, Young's modulus E is 200 gigapascal, mass density rho is 7800 kg per meter cube, I moment of inertia, area moment of inertia I is 400 mm power 4, area of cross section is 30 centimeter square. Here each parameter has different units. Here Newton per meter square, kg per meter cube. Moment of inertia we have mm power 4. We have to properly convert this mm power 4 into meter power 4. Similarly, area is given in centimeter square. This will be converted to meter square. That we have to do carefully when you solve the problem. Now for the simply supported beam, we are going to consider two element model. Let us go to the finite element model step. So this is the given beam. Left end we have hinged support, right end roller support. Total length of the beam is 2 meter. So we are going to divide this 2 meter equally. So each element will have element length of 1 meter. For easy understanding purpose, we are taking this as 1 meter length. For element 1, we have node 1 with the degrees of freedom W1 theta 1 and node 2 with the degrees of freedom W2 theta 2. For element 2, we have node 2 and node 3. At node 3, we have W3 and theta 3, the degrees of freedom. Since the number of element to be used is specified in the question, we are selecting directly the two element model here. Otherwise, we have to follow this thumb rule. So at the boundary, we have to introduce nodes, and whenever there is a change in cross section or material property, we have to introduce a node. If there is any external force acting, then load acting point should be considered as a node. These are the thumb rule. But here directly we are using the two element model since it is mentioned in the question. For this finite element model, let us see what are the boundary conditions. At node 1, what is node 1? Node 1 is the supported end. So at this hinged support, displacement is 0. So W1 will be 0. There will be rotation. Rotation is permitted. So theta 1 will be there. Then at node 2 is exactly middle of the beam. We know that for simply supported beam, at the midspan only we will get the maximum deflection. So at the maximum deflection, we know that slope is 0. So that means at node 2 midspan, W2 will be there, maximum deflection, but theta 2 will be 0. Coming to node 3 again a supported end, roller support. So at this support, W3 will be 0. So node 3 displacement will be 0. Rotation is permitted. So we will get the slope theta 3. Theta 3 will be there. So if you see the boundary conditions, theta 1, W2, theta 3. 3 degrees of freedoms are available for this particular finite element model. If you use this model, we are able to achieve 3 natural frequencies for this simply supported beam, because we have 3 degrees of freedom, theta 1, W2 and theta 3. So these 3 degrees of freedom will give us 3 natural frequencies. So let us go to the procedure. First we have to establish the element characteristic equation for each element. These are the general format of the element characteristic equation we have discussed. So we have to write the K stiffness matrix and M mass matrix. Here we are considering this omega square. So K is a 4 by 4 matrix, E I1 by L1 cube. This is for the first element we are writing. So that is why we are using suffix 1. 12 6L1 minus 12 6L1 like that. And in mass matrix we have rho A1 L1 divided by 420. Then this is also a 4 by 4 matrix, 156 22 L1 54 minus 13 L1. Like this we have to write all the elements of the stiffness matrix and the mass matrix. So somehow we have to remember these K and M matrices to solve any beam problem. It may be a structural problem or vibration problem. We have to remember these matrices. Here we are writing the degrees of freedom or nodal parameter. So W1 theta 1 for node 1, W2 theta 2 for node 2. Right hand side always 0 matrix for free vibration. Now we have to substitute the given values E Young's modulus, I moment of inertia and length of the element. Here also we have to substitute rho value, A value, L value. So let us see. Now first we are finding the value of EI by L cube. Young's model is given 200 gigapascal, so 200 into 10 power 9 Newton per meter square. Moment of inertia I is given as 400 millimeter power 4. So this 10 power minus 12 is used to convert the millimeter power 4 into meter power 4. Length is 1 meter, so 1 cube. So here we are getting 80 as this EI by L cube. Newton per meter is the stiffness, unit of the stiffness matrix. Similarly, we find rho A1 L1 divided by 420. Rho is 7800 kg per meter cube. Area A is given as 30 centimeter square. So we are converting the centimeter square into meter square, 10 to the power minus 4. And length is 1 meter divided by 420. So this value we are getting 0.0557 kg, mass kg. Now substitute this EI by L1 cube as 80 here. This rho A1 L1 by 420 as 0.0557 omega square. And here inside the matrix we will get a 12.6 minus 12.6 like that, because the length of the element L1 is equal to 1 meter. So 1 meter, so we can easily write the K matrix as well as the mass matrix elements, right? For easy understanding purpose, we are assuming length of the element as 1 meter. After substituting the values, we are getting this element characteristic equation. These are the nodal parameter and this null matrix. Now let us say this is the element characteristic equation for first element. Similarly, we have to derive the element characteristic equation for second element. Let us see. This is the element 2 with the node 2 and node 3. Length of the element is again 1 meter. We are writing the standard format of the element characteristic equation like this. K stiffness matrix EI2 by L2 cube, here 12 6L2 minus 12 6L2 like that, minus omega square, here rho A2 L2 by 420, here 156 22 L2 54 minus 13 L2. So everywhere we are using L2 for second element length. And here we have the nodal displacement or nodal parameters for element 2, W2 theta 2 for node 2, W3 theta 3 for node 3. Right hand side we have null matrix. We have to substitute the values of E, I, L, A, rho, everything. Moment of inertia and length of the element, everything is same for the second element also. So we will get the same value for EI2 by L2 cube as 80 Newton per meter. Similarly, rho A2 by 420 also same value 0.0557 kg, because there is no change in area of cross section or moment of inertia value. So we are using same value. So this is again 80 multiplied with this K matrix. Here length of the element is 1. So we can directly write 12 6 minus 12 6 like that. So here mass matrix 156 22 54 minus 13 by substituting L2 equal to 1. So these are the nodal displacement vector and 0 matrix. Now after getting this element characteristic equation for element 1 and 2, we have to assemble these two equations to get the global characteristic equation. How to assemble these two matrices? How to formulate the global characteristic equation? For that we will use the numbering scheme. I quickly explain this numbering scheme because already we discussed elaborately in the previous part. You can refer bar problem, truss problem, right, for assembling the element characteristic equation. Anyway, I quickly explain the procedure to follow how to assemble the two element characteristic equation. This is element 1 and element 2. Now we are using the numbers for each elements of the stiffness matrix and the mass matrix. Here we are giving 1 2 3 4. These numbers are representing the degree of freedom. Here W1 theta 1, this is the 2 degree of freedom for node 1, that is given as 1 and 2. W2 theta 2 is degree of freedom for node 2, this is given as 3 4. So 3 4. So 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4 we are using for representing the degree of freedom. Similarly, when you come to the second element equation, we are using 3 4 5 6 because here we have node 2 degree of freedom W2 theta 2, so we are using 3 and 4, and node 3 we have W3 theta 3, another 2 degree of freedom, we are using the 5 and 6, 3 4 5 6. So 3 4 5 6. Suppose if you select this element of the stiffness matrix, what is the name for this one? K22, like that. This element will be K41, fourth row, one first element, like that. So in mass matrix, if you select this element, this is M32. So M third row, second, so 3 2, like that. So the corresponding elements could be added to get the global characters equation. When you add these two element characters equation, you have to give more attention to the common degree of freedom. W2 and theta 2 are the common degree of freedom in both the element. That means 3 and 4. So here also we have 3 and 4. Here also we have 3 and 4. So these degrees of freedom should be added properly. When you form the global characteristic equation, these common degree of freedom elements of the stiffness matrix as well as mass matrix related to the common degree of freedom should be added correctly. So when you add this one, when you add 12 to 12 and 12, you will get 24. Minus 6 and plus 6 will become 0. Minus 6 and plus 6 0. 4 and 4 will become 8. Similarly, when you add mass matrix, 156 will become 312. Minus 22 plus 22 0. Here also you will get 0. Then 4 and 4 will become 8. Remaining terms will come as it is. We will see global characteristic equation. The size of the stiffness matrix and mass matrix is going to be 6 by 6. Why 6 by 6? Because total degree of freedom for the two element model is 6. Let us see. So this is the total degree of freedom for the finite element model. Here each node we have 2 degree of freedom, so total degree of freedom is 6. So that is why we are getting 6 by 6 matrix for stiffness as well as the mass. The assembly of these two will be properly done using this numbering scheme 1 1 2 2 2 1, like that. So these are the elements of common degrees of freedom 24008, here 312008. So remaining time should be written in correct sequence. Okay, this is the degree of freedom or nodal displacement W1 theta 1, W2 theta 2, W3 theta 3. Then right hand side we have 0 matrix. After getting this global characteristic equation, we are going to apply the boundary condition for this particular beam, then we are going to solve the problem. The important step is formulation of the global characteristic equation for the given beam problem. So for that we have to use the numbering scheme correctly. After arriving this global characteristic equation, let us apply the boundary condition. Without applying the boundary condition, we are not able to solve the problem. Any numerical method, we need a boundary condition or initial condition to solve the problem. Now we have boundary condition like this. At node 1, supported end W1 0. What is the W1? W1 is the degree of freedom here, W1. The corresponding rows and columns are row 1 and column 1. We can eliminate row 1 column 1 in both the stiffness matrix and mass matrix. Next, at node 2, theta to 0. Why? Maximum displacement slope is 0. What is the corresponding theta 2 row? Here is the theta 2 degree of freedom. Fourth row, fourth column we can eliminate. Similarly here, fourth row, fourth column. Then node 3, we have W3 0. So what is W3 this is the W3 degrees of freedom. The corresponding rows are row 5, row 5, then column 5 we can eliminate. So after eliminating the 3 rows and 3 column, we will get the 3 by 3 matrix. Remaining 3 by 3 matrix can be solved for getting the 3 natural frequencies. How to solve this 3 by 3 matrix? We will see in the next step. This is the solution step. After eliminating the 3 rows, 3 column, we are getting this 3 by 3 matrix. This is the 3 by 3 matrix for K stiffness matrix. This is the 3 by 3 matrix for mass matrix. In vibration problem, we are using the eigen equation concept to solve the problem. When you say this is equal to 0, right, we know that theta 1, W2, theta 2, right, these are the nodal parameter. This cannot be 0 for any vibration to occur. So we can say this matrix part will be equal to 0 to satisfy this equation. How to ensure that this will be 0? Accordingly, we have to evaluate that value of omega to make this matrix as 0. So we are saying that determinant of this matrix will be equal to 0. Then we can say the matrix will be totally 0. Determinant of this 3 by 3 matrices is equal to 0. First we are going to divide this equation totally by 80. So if you divide by 80, what you will get? This 80 will get cancelled, you will get 1, and here you will get divided by 80, right? Then we will assume this total terms is equal to lambda, right, for easy processing. So this term is going to be assumed lambda. Then only we can easily add these two matrices, 4 minus 4 lambda, minus 6 minus 13 lambda. Like that you can easily do the processing for the determinant evaluation. So this is the procedure we are going to follow. The next slide we will see that we are assuming lambda is equal to 0.0557 divided by 80 lambda square. So by that way we can add these two matrices, 4 minus 4 lambda minus 6 minus 13 lambda, here 0. Similarly minus 6 minus 13 lambda, 24 minus 312 lambda, here 6 plus 13 lambda, 0, 6 plus 13 lambda, 4 minus 4 lambda, which is equal to 0. Now this is a 3 by 3 matrix. For 3 by 3 matrix, we have to find the determinant. So expand either row wise or column wise, we will get the same answer. Expanding and after rearranging the terms, we will get finally this cubical equation in terms of lambda. Right, directly I am giving the cubical equation. You can check this how this equation is arrived. You can check it afterwards. So minus 3640 lambda cube plus 10264 lambda square minus 6720 lambda plus 96 equal to 0. This is the third order equation in terms of lambda. Now you can easily solve this equation using calculator. So we can easily find the 3 roots of this equation. Lambda 1, always we have to consider the smallest value as the first root, lambda 1, and the next value lambda 2, the highest value will be lambda 3. So lambda 1 is coming as 0.0146, lambda 2 is 1.0, lambda 3 is 1.8052, like that. These lambda values going to give the omega values. From that omega value we can find the natural frequency Fn value. We will see that calculation. So lambda 1 is equal to 0.0146. Now we have to apply this lambda value in this equation. Then you will get omega 1 square is equal to 80 into 0.0146 divided by 0.0557. Now we have to take the square root of this value. Omega 1 will be equal to 4.579 radian per second. From this omega is angular frequency. To get this Fn value, we have to divide by 2 pi. So omega by 2 pi will give you 0.729 hertz. So very small value, which is a negligible one. So 0.729 hertz. Now coming to the second one, lambda 2 is 1. So now substitute this lambda value in this equation. We'll get omega 2 square is equal to 1 into 80 divided by 0.0557. So this value is coming like this. Then taking the square root of this, we'll get omega 2 is equal to 37.9 radian per second. And dividing this omega 2 by 2 pi, we'll get Fn2 is equal to 6.032 hertz. 6.032 hertz for the second natural frequency. Third value lambda 3 1.8052. Again we use this equation. Omega 3 square is equal to 1.8052 into 80 divided by 0.0557. We are getting this value. Then taking the square root, we will get 50.92 radian per second. And dividing by 2 pi, we are getting Fn3 is equal to 8.104 hertz. By using two finite element model, we are able to achieve three natural frequency for the simply supported beam. Similarly, if you want to find the higher natural frequencies, then we have to go for more number of elements, right? If you use a more number of elements, we are able to find the n number of natural frequencies, right? So we are doing calculation manually. That is why we are restricting ourselves for two element model. When we solve this problem using computer software, we can use any number of element, right? So when we use 100 number of elements, we are able to get the natural frequency more than 100. That is possible. So we have consider the cantilever beam, simply supported beam, fixed beam. In earlier part, using one element model, we try to solve the natural frequencies, and we used a two element model for the simply supported beam, and we found out the natural frequency values. So by using the two finite element, we are able to achieve three natural frequencies. So if you want to find more number of frequencies, we have to go with more number of elements. Thank you for your passion listening.